My father was a quiet man, the kind who held doors open for strangers, waved at neighbors, and never raised his voice. He'd served in Korea, came home, raised a family, worked as a machinist for 40 years, and never once complained. When Mom passed away, I begged him to move in with me, but he wanted to keep his independence. So he bought a tiny house in a suburban development, the kind of place with the neat lawns, white fences, and of course, a powerful HOA with 100 petty rules. I didn't like it, but Dad said it reminded him of the old neighborhood, with people out on their porches in the evenings. He was wrong about these people. It started small. Dad kept a flag on his porch, the American flag. The HOA told him it had to come down because it didn't match the approved color palette for outdoor decor. He laughed at them, said no HOA was going to tell him to take down his flag. A month later, he got a notice about the height of his mailbox, then another about unapproved flower species in his tiny front yard. Dad tried to play along, but they just kept coming. Finally, I told him, "Dad, let me talk to them." He wouldn't hear of it. "I'm not some helpless old man," he told me. "I can handle these people." I wish I'd stepped in sooner. One Sunday afternoon, Dad was out trimming his hedges. One of the HOA board members, a middle-aged bully named Gordon, walked up the driveway waving a citation about hedge height. They started arguing. Neighbors heard it. Witnesses told me later that Gordon shoved Dad. He fell backward into the bushes, hit his head on a concrete edging stone. 60 seconds later, Gordon was gone, but my father was lying there, unconscious, blood running down the side of his face. When I got the call from there, I saw red. Dad survived, but he had a concussion, bruised ribs, and stitches in his scalp. The police filed a report, but the HOA lawyered up fast, called it a civil disagreement, and somehow Gordon walked away with no charges. I couldn't believe it. My father, a veteran who had never hurt a soul, assaulted in his own yard, and these cowards got away with it. I decided right then, if they wanted to push an old man around, they'd have to deal with me. First, I made sure Dad was okay. I moved him into my house for recovery, and then I went to work. I started by researching the HOA. Turns out the little patch of green space they use for picnics, potlucks, and holiday events wasn't technically HOA-owned. The developer had never transferred the deed to the HOA. The land was still in limbo, the taxes unpaid, and the county was about to seize it. Opportunity. I paid the back taxes, less than $3,000. Filed the paperwork. Within 2 weeks, I was the legal owner of that entire green space. That was step one. Step two was more fun. I had a friend who ran a licensed shooting range outside of town. I called him up, explained what happened. I wanted to build a private range, safe, legal, and not enough to get the HOA's attention. He helped me with permits, safety codes, noise barriers. Everything was by the book. Within 6 weeks, construction was underway. The first time they saw the crews coming, the HOA panicked. Gordon himself marched over, face bright red, waving some HOA regulation about no commercial activity. I told him to get off my land before I had him trespassed. He tried to threaten me. He said he'd call the city, call the county, call the governor if he had to. I just smiled. "It's zoned recreational," I told him. "Perfectly legal, and it's my property." He practically choked on the words. The day the range officially opened, I made sure Dad was there. He stood on the covered shooting bench, still a bit shaky from his injuries, but smiling for the first time in months. He loaded up my old .22 and took the first shot. Hit dead center. The echo of the bullet rolling across the subdivision was the sweetest sound I ever heard. Of course, the HOA tried everything: noise complaints, lawsuits, code enforcement. They even staged protests with picket signs, yelling about danger to children and property values. But every inspection passed. Every permit was flawless. Every legal challenge fell flat. I built it right, built it safe, built it legal, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. Soon, the range was busier than I expected. Neighbors who were sick of HOA nonsense started coming by. We taught safety classes, let them try different firearms, even ran concealed carry courses. The HOA's green space, their pride and joy, their party spot, had become a place where folks learned to stand up for themselves. Every Saturday afternoon, you could hear the sound of freedom echoing off the berms. Dad came by almost every weekend. He liked to watch the younger shooters, giving them tips, telling stories about the old M1 Garand he carried in Korea. People respected him there. One day, he pulled me aside and said, "Son, I couldn't have done this alone." I shook my head. "You shouldn't have had to." I told him, "No, one should.